Urban legends. They're great. The stories and images that spawn from them can be downright terrifying or extremely fascinating. But nothing can compare to the original stories. Some of them can scar you for the rest of your life. Another very cool thing about urban legends is that nobody truly knows if they're real. And while you can test some of them, like, how do you know that story hasn't changed so that you wouldn't be harmed? You don't. A lot of urban legends have several different origin stories, so how can we know which story is the real one? We can't, and that's what makes them so great. No matter where you live, you've heard one or more urban legends in your lifetime. Some might even be local. A very popular urban legend is that of Bloody Mary. Everybody knows the story. Well, at least you think you do. Truthfully, the chances of you getting the 100% true story behind how Bloody Mary spawned is 1 in 10 million. This is simply because nobody can know for sure whether the story they've heard hasn't been changed. It's the very factor that gives urban legends their scary nature. We like urban legends because we don't know if they're real, but they could be. They scare us just enough because it might be real. They intrigue us because we want to know which one is real. And they confuse us because we may never know which one is real. In my local area, we have a century-old urban legend. We call it the Mystery of Mr. Washington. Legend goes, there was once a child in the area named James Washington. James would always be teased in school. He got bullied, beaten, broken. It got so bad and so brutal that one day, James grabbed a nearby chair and slammed it against a boy's head. Within the group of kids, there were about 2 girls and 6 boys. Due to the nature of James' mental state and the damage that the child sustained from the chair, he was sent off into a mental hospital. He ended up spending 2 decades there before one night when he escaped. Soon, strange deaths began to occur around the city, and one by one, the people who were responsible for James' incarceration went missing. All but one died gruesome deaths. One victim, one of the girls, had escaped him. He was caught by the police and sentenced to death. But before he died, in all his craziness, or so they say, he put a sort of curse on the children of the town. He vowed that every child that teased another in the ways that he had been tortured, would they themselves be tortured to death, in the most gruesome way he could imagine. And this coming from James, a man who had gruesomely murdered almost all of his classmates, was a promise that many feared. Now, supposedly, a few school bullies and other children began to go missing. They would all be found in a small cabin on Lavender Street. This was the same house that was used by Washington to kill his enemies in the story. We tell our children this story to scare them into behaving with other kids. We obviously have the idea that if we tell them kids are disappearing, then they will behave. Nobody ever thought anything of it. It's a story. That is, until about 2 weeks ago, when a child was found dead inside an abandoned building on Lavender Street.